Hello and welcome to this demo of the Private Fund Manager software. My name is Mandy Riddington. Do let me know if you have any queries. And in this demo we're specifically looking at PFM as a simple accounting system. We are not synchronizing with any pupil records. We are not linking with any online payment providers. We are treating PFM as an accounting system, recording money in and out, doing bank reconciliations, producing reports, doing year end. If you're looking for something more specific and more detailed, please look at one of the other videos. This is a straightforward accounting system demo. So the Private Fund Manager is a very simple to use accounting system specifically for schools. As you can see on screen, this is the package, and we navigate around the program using the tabs across the top of the screen here. We've also got some menus at the very top left. We use those occasionally. When it comes to setting up this system, again, very straightforward. We only have two things to do. The first is to set up your bank accounts, and the second is to set up your nominal accounts or cost code accounts. So let's start with bank accounts. We go to the very far tab that says the word setup, and each time we click on one of the top tabs it gives us a next row down. So within setup we've got students, suppliers, responsible persons, and the one we want, which is bank accounts. I simply click it, and we can then add as many or as few bank accounts onto the system as you like. If you just have the one, just school fund or voluntary account, this is where you would add it. It needs a code of up to 3 letters or numbers, whatever works for you. So it could be something like VA for voluntary account, or it could be BAR for Barclays, or it could be school account, whatever works for you. We simply give it a code and then a full name. So I've got one on here called School Fund SF, the School Fund bank account. If you chose to, you could add an account number and sort code, but you don't have to. And I've also got a petty cash tin. You may not want that, but it's an option. So just the one bank account or more if you need them. In addition to the bank account, then we add all of our other nominal codes. So by that I mean anything that you're likely to get money in for or spend money out of. And they can be a single code that has money going in and out of them. We set them up here on the account maintenance screen. And this is going to ask us various bits of information. Because we're using this as a very simple way, all we need is a short code, a full name, and possibly an opening balance if you have one. So for example, you might only have half a dozen of these codes if that's what you're interested in getting the breakdown of money in and out for. You might have multiple dozens. It depends entirely on what you're looking for. And so on here I've got a few, and so I've got things such as a couple of Alton Towers trips. I've got a Children in Need, I've got Red Nose Day, I've got some revision guides, some swimming, some uniform. As I say, entirely up to you. You could have every trip that you're running if you would like to know money in, money out, and any money that was left over or overspent. If you want to do that, have a separate account for each one. If you're not bothered, have just one account called trips, or maybe one account called residential trips and one called day trips. Entirely up to you how much detail you put on here. If you need to be able to look at a single trip and see just the money in, money out and the balance, then set them all up separately. And all we do is give it a short code and a full name. The short code should be 8 characters or less. It can be numbers or letters, whatever works for you. But if I decided, for example, that we were going to take some children to a Christmas market, I might put in a code for that. And I might put market, that would probably be clear to me. Or I might put Xmas, MKT. So I'm trying to kind of keep it under 8 characters just for data entry screens. We give it a code, then we either click or press the tab key to full name, and then I'm going to put Christmas market trip. Now, strictly speaking, that's all I need to set up the account. There is no save button, it automatically saves for me. However, when you're first setting up the system, if you do have opening balances, we click in the box that says budget cost, and on the right hand side of the screen, we choose our bank account that we've just created, and we say if there is an opening balance, and I'm going to say there is a balance brought forward from when I've set the system up. That's it. That's my Christmas market account on. I click on the button here in the bottom right hand corner to do my next one. Do you want to copy that one? No, I don't. I'd like to start a new one, please. The next one I'm going to put on, and this is just for examples obviously, I'm going to put on book bags. 1, 2, 3, that's just about 8, that's correct. And so then I can put on my full name, which is nothing more than book bags. And I'm going to say I don't have an opening balance. So when I get here to the box that says budget costs and then opening balance, I'm just leaving it as 0. I'm going to do one more just for the fun of it. So we've got a Christmas market, we've got a book bag. What else might I put on here? I'm going to put dogs. I'm going to put on guide dogs for the blind. I'm going to say that's our designated, golly, I can't get that right around, designated charity, guide dogs, that'll do it. And again, I'm going to say I've got a little bit of money brought forward as an opening balance. I'm going to say we've got £3.12. That could have been a minus, by the way, if you're bringing forward any deficits. And that's it for setting up. You can go back at any point and change any of these if the opening balance was wrong, if you want to change what you've called it, but that's how we set up our list of accounts. Once we've got those things on, then we can start processing. So very quick and easy setup on the system obviously. Let's just have a quick look at processing information and transactions on. Anything to do with real life transactions, we use here the transaction entry button, and it splits it into the obvious sections. Receipts is on the first tab, payments on the second. We've got transfers over here, we've got bank reconciliation, etc. Let's just do a little bit of money received. So I'm in the receipts area. The first thing I'm going to do is just assume that we're doing a bit of fundraising and you've had some physical cash into school. Don't worry if you don't do cash, we'll look at that next. But let me put on the example of we've done some fundraising for the guide dogs. So I choose the dog's code. If I can't remember the codes, I just use the pull down arrow, of course. It's gone over to the cash box. When I press tab, I've got cash or cheques. I'm going to say we've raised £116.50 for the dogs. It defaults to today's date, but you can of course backdate it to anything you like. And then I'm going to say car wash. And then I'm going to say we've also had some money in from children for some book bags, so I've chosen the book bags code, and I'm going to say we had £50. I don't need to say much about the book bags, I'm just going to put the word sales, and then I'm going to also say the Christmas markets. What did I put that on? There's an X, lovely, and I've had £400 in for Christmas markets, and I'm going to say year 11. Doesn't really matter. The important thing is I only go as far as the total for this paying in slip. It's not all the money I've received, it's just the amount of money I've banked in one go. So I've got £566.50 here. I'm going to say that's it. That money is going to the bank. I'm going to click on bank it, put in a paying in slip number if you have one. If you don't, just put a date in. Defaults to today's day. We say OK and yes, and it gives us a nice printout, as you can see, of all the things we've received, what they're for, the amounts, and an overall total. You might choose to print that or not. So that's how we can put in actual physical cash and cheques. What if your money actually comes from an online payment system that you don't want to replicate, but you do need to put the lumps of money in? Or you do it in exactly the same way. Let's say that on your online payment system you've received £400 and the report from your online payment system tells you the breakdown. We just put the breakdown here of the net figures received. So let's say that we had £200 from your Christmas market, and I'm going to put PP, I'm going to assume, let's say it's parent pay, that'll do, won't it? I'm also going to put on some uniform money for £100. I'm going to say the same, PP. And then I've got a little bit of book bags, the other £100. I've obviously rounded it up here. But you get the concept. How much did your online payment provider give you? It's on the report, but it's also on your bank account. Make sure that it adds up to the amount that you received and it breaks down in the correct fashion. And then we simply choose the bank it button. There's no paying in slip number, so I'm going to put parent pay and I'm going to put the date that it relates to. And again, it gives me a breakdown. If you want to print that, you can. If you don't have to. So that's how we put money onto the system. We can do payments out in exactly the same way. The nice thing about it is the screens are all the same, so once you've got used to them, they're very straightforward. It's in red just to remind you this is a payment out. But the same thing goes then. We break down what we've spent our money out on. So maybe we've bought some ties in order to sell them again. I choose the ties code. I make sure it's the right bank account. It will know the next cheque number if you're using a cheque. Or if you're not using a cheque, you might put something like TF for transfer, or direct or debit card, DC for debit card, whatever works for you, however you've made the payment out. If you want to, you can pick a supplier, or you can just leave it as a generic supplier called Sundry. And then how much you've spent on ties, £75. If there's an invoice number, put it in. If there's not, just put a narrative. What else have I made payments out for? So I have bought some uniform. Again, check number if it's appropriate, if not debit card or something similar. I've spent £400 on uniform. No invoice number, but I'm going to put in here. I've said £400. So I'm going to say 30 sweatshirts. And on we go. Maybe we've made our donation to the guide dogs. Maybe we did send a cheque, or we did a other form of payment, and so we've given them a donation of £1,000. And we might put here donation paid at post office. Whatever it might be. So this is how we put cheques or cash or direct post-ins or debit cards or bank transfers onto the system. Doesn't matter what they are, as long as we put in the appropriate thing here on the cheque number, and then we just press the save button. And as usual, it pops up a printout to tell us what we've done, which you can choose to print and file or not bother to do. So that's payments. Receipts, payments, both under transaction entry. We have an option called direct postings here, which is really if you have things like bank charges or bank interest or anything that appears on your bank statement that you've not really processed as a transaction. We do that under direct postings. Transfers is for transferring money either between bank accounts if you have more than one, or this is where we do journals or virements, and so we can say take money out of book bags and put it into uniform, the date you want it to happen, a reason, I'm just going to put top up, and how much you want to do a transfer for. Are you sure? Yes, I am. So journals or transfers through this heading. So we've now set up accounts, put money in, taken money out. What we might choose to do at this point is have a little look at the reports. And so looking across the top of the screen at our main headings, we have one called Screen Inquiries and Reports. As usual, there's a second row down and it's broken into financial reports, transaction lists, reports for each account, pupil ones, receipts, etc. So here on financial reports is where we get the summary detail about the school fund or the voluntary fund as a whole. Here on reports by account is where we can look at one specific account to get the ins and outs and the detail. So let me choose book bags and I'm going to look at a summary statement. So as you can see, it's telling me so far I've got £50. I've had 2 lots of money in, some sales and some parent pay, and then I transferred some money across to uniform. So overall effect is £50. Let's have a look at uniform, might be a bit more in that one. So this one I've got lots of money going in, including that £100 transfer, and then I've got a couple of payments going out. So at the moment the closing balance is £345.50 for the uniform account. And I can look up any one of my accounts here in reports by account. Whereas in financial reports I get overview summaries. So for example, top right hand corner, we call it the income and expenditure. It's the equivalent of a profit and loss report. And as you can see, is a total. What did I start the year with? How much have I had in this year? How much have I spent this year? And therefore, what have I got left? And then, of course, it's breaking it down here into all the different categories, including our new one with the guide dogs is currently at £800 in deficit because we've made a donation of £1,000 and didn't have that to make. Others are positive. There's our Christmas market that's got a bit of positive money, etc. So reports, they appear on screen. You can look up at any time. There are many of them. Balance sheets over here, debtor reports, trial balances, etc. Going back now then, so to transaction entry, we've entered receipts and payments. We've had a little look at direct postings and transfers. So we do this on a daily or monthly, an ongoing basis. One thing we have to do then is some kind of a month-end process to make sure everything is looking good, and we do that through a bank reconciliation on the bank statements option here. It's very straightforward. We choose the school fund bank account and every transaction that's yet to be reconciled, as you can see here, is listed. We have an opening balance top right, and then all of the items that we've entered that we haven't yet ticked off against a bank statement appear. And all we do is use the box in the far left to tick. So I'm looking at my bank statement. The first thing on it is a paying in slip from parent pay, not paying slip, amount of money from parent pay for £641 that I've received, and so I simply find it and tick it. The next thing I've got is I bought some sweatshirts on a debit card for £400. I find it, I tick it. Then I've got another amount of money from parent pay, I tick it. Then I've got an actual paying in of cash, I tick it. So you get the concept. I'm ticking the items that appear on the bank statement, and every time I do, the statement closing balance changes, and that should change in line with your bank statement. And when we finally have ticked everything, this should be the figure that is on your bank statement, the statement closing balance. Usually there will be some unreconciled items, things that haven't yet appeared at the bank. That's absolutely normal and fine. And all I do then is press this button that says commit the changes. It gives me a reconciliation report and an unreconciled list. I would definitely print that and put it with my paper statement. And as long as we do that, we are recognising at the end of month everything that's gone in. Anything that's missing will be identified straight away, and we can then enter it and make sure the accounts are looking right. I've obviously got here a whole load of really old transactions at the top, so they shouldn't be there at all. And part of my process at month end will be to identify why on earth they are here, put in contra entries and delete them off the system. So I've now done money in, money out, a few transfers, and I've done my bank reconciliation for the month. You might now choose to run some reports such as the income and expenditure, which we've looked at, possibly a balance sheet, telling people money in, money out, etc. But apart from that, there's no real other month-end procedure that you need to complete. The only other period end, of course, is when you finally get to a year end. And over here on the period end tab, we have a year end option. We simply pick the date of the year end. We run a report that confirms that we're completely in balance. We then run our 7 year-end reports by clicking this button, and we take an archive, and then we close the period. So again, very straightforward, as long as on a monthly basis you've done your bank reconciliation and kept that up to date. So that is the Private Fund Manager and how it works as a simple accounting system, how it provides all the financial reports that you need, as well as individual reports for each of the accounts that you choose to track information for. Hope that sounds okay. If you have any queries, please do feel free to contact me, Mandy, and thank you very much for having a look. Bye bye.